let's talk and move that on a little bit into talking about something that I'm very passionate about and concerned about, which is bullying. And I know in a lot of cases it gets disguised as what they call banter. I'm not overly comfortable with that. I spent a little bit of time in the sports world and I saw it at first hand there. Again, let's go back to university life for a moment. What advice can you give to people about this subject of bullying, recognizing it and dealing with it? What advice can you give people today?
Look, I think it's a really, really controversial subject when we talk about the elements of, it's only banter, and what bullying looks like. And there is an awful term which kind of banded around because of a particular thing that Britain left a particular region within the EU, kind of that snowflake conversation, or being politically correct. It's all very similar. I think what we've got to best understand, especially within a university perspective and growing and building relationships with people, it's all opinion based, but it's all opinion and self-identity. So, for example, someone that identifies as as a cisgendered queer man, that's myself. I'm comfortable to call myself queer, and as part of the LGBTQ plus community. I know that much older generations are uncomfortable using the word queer. I've taken that, reclaimed that. That's my identity. That's who I am, and I'm comfortable with people using that with me. However, I wouldn't use that with dialogue with older people, because I would ask them how they identify, how they want to be able to be expressed, how they feel comfortable with their terminology and what they use. And that's really, really important, because then if you want to have that conversation with banter, I say banter lightly, when having fun is actually, you are then having the support and the camaraderie between two people. When you enter into another person, or when you have another person within that conversation, you've got to do that all again. You've got to understand who that person is, how they identify, and how they are. Because when you look at mental well-being, when you look at mental health included, if you use a wide-scaping, like banterish comment that's directed to one person, you don't know over the last 20, 18 years of that life, if that person has had that comment thrown at them as a really derogatory comment to make them feel uncomfortable. Yeah. Because then that brings up all sorts of elements of trauma that might put them into an anxiety position, that might stop them doing or feel comfortable about the thing that they're doing at that time. And there's so many different terms, there's so many different elements, but when you look at, I want to talk about sometimes maybe the elements within British comedy as well, where people are, it's only banter, it's only banter. Actually, that banter hurts, and that there is that thing as well, sticks and stones may break your bones and words will never hurt me. Physical violence is definitely wrong, and actually words is just as powerful, and it stays and bruises and reminds you of trauma and conversations that happened 5 years ago, a year ago, 10 minutes ago, whenever it was, that hurt you personally, that you may have never spoken about before, that you may have not shared with before. So you don't know that thing that you've said that was in jest would have hurt someone else.
Yeah. It's such a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, just thinking two things there. First one is, I wholeheartedly agree that it's about being comfortable with each other. And I think, as you said, by introducing yourself and asking somebody else how they would like to be introduced and making people comfortable, I think is very important to start with. I think getting that clear is very helpful. For me, it's about, this psychological, I call it psychological warfare that takes place. and it could well take place at university. And it's far worse. I mean, I'd rather take a punch on the nose any day of the week. A punch on the nose and it's finished. You know, psychological, torment and psychological warfare, as I call it, is very, very painful. And you've no idea the damage you're doing to somebody, the psychological impact you're having on somebody. And it's something that, I think we have to get out there on the table and we have to talk about it. People must become aware and conscious of this impact it's having on people, and it's having on their lives, and it's having on their mental well-being, because the statistics are that 1 in 4 of us, I'm sorry, I believe it's 4 in 4, all of us at some time or another, whether it is a little worry that manifests itself into more anxiety or worse, depression, but so much of it is psychological. And the words of others really, really impact on people. And it's something that, I think we really have to talk about and get out into the open, recognize it, and people have to be listening for it and aware of it. And then we have to put a stop to it. We really have to put a stop to it. And then I think there has to be the help and support, the help and support available that people can go and get the right help, support and assistance they need. It's so important.
Yeah, and actually, it absolutely is. And when you have had that trauma through words at any point within your life, and someone says another thing and it might trigger it, building that confidence with different cultures and different people, understanding yourself and building that understanding in yourself, however difficult that is, it's having that moment to say, actually, I don't like that being said, and having that confidence to say that. Because in reality, again, that person has grown up within a cultural setting, within a sports setting, that maybe some of those terminologies are acceptable, and they don't think they're doing something wrong. I have a real, again, this is opinion, but I have a real innate feeling that everyone somewhere inside is a good person, and they genuinely believe they're doing the right thing. And even some not so great people, but they somehow, somewhere think that they're doing a good thing. But it's actually the other person that's in front of them has the option and has the choice to go, do you know what? This is hurting me. I don't like this. I think you think it's funny and it comes from maybe a funny and good place. But because it's hurting me, I want to tell you I don't like it and it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. Lovely. And the really great words there, Matthew. And I think therefore, the message really to people is have the confidence to speak up, knowing that the support is there to help you and support you, because it's unacceptable and it's no longer acceptable at society or at university today that these things are happening. So, we would always give great encouragement to people to have the confidence to speak up, but at the same time know that there is help and support available to you and you're not ever on your own.
Yeah, and it's identifying it as well, because if you were to see something that was a physical attack, for example, in a street, you potentially might not necessarily directly approach it, but you might get some more people or phone the police to be able to identify what's going on and give support to the two people, whatever is going on. So it's the same thing as well. So if you are in a position where you can see someone saying something, again, it kind of comes along. Have you checked in to ask whether that's an appropriate thing to say? I'm not quite sure I feel comfortable with what you're saying to that other person. And it's using those adult conversations, not raising your voice, making sure that you are calm and collective, and you're using questions to be able to support the person that you're talking to, the opportunity to reflect and understand what they may have done So they've got the opportunity to think about what they do next time.
Yeah, agreed, wholeheartedly agreed.